the freak? Oh, no, no, no! Ah!
Oh my, you became employed. I thought the job application was gonna be right behind me with a pen.
Oh, you're scared of clowns? Scared of chainsaws? Scared of Yorkies? Those are all great premises for a horror game, but I wanted to make a horrific game. I had to pick the one thing that scares streamers more than anything else: a job. What do you need to make a horror game about job applications? A house. But not just a normal house. I designed the ultimate unemployed person's house. Dozens of soda cans in random locations, rooms straight out of r/male living space, and the most down bad, cursed gaming setup I could create. Being an unemployed person is all about no one being your boss, including yourself. Dishes are not getting cleaned. This room is not getting furnished. The only thing getting attention here is Love Island. I wanted to make this spacious house feel lived in, but poorly lived in. And the result was one of the most disgusting living areas straight out of Resident Evil. As an aspiring unemployed person, this is where I'd feel at home. Now, as a disclaimer, the idea isn't that being unemployed is inherently bad, because you could legitimately have a disability or circumstance that prevents you from getting a job. Unemployment doesn't just automatically mean you're a messy and terrible person. This is the house of someone who is perfectly capable of being employed, but would rather be an influencer. Enter the influencing room. And my custom TikTok shop product, I imagine the person living here sells for a 15% commission. There's laundry on the floor. The dishes are atrocious. We got bootleg anime posters. Everything is in place. Now that we have the setting, we need the problem. Most horror games have a premise. In Five Nights at Freddy's, you're a security guard watching animatronics. In Mouthwashing, you're a worker trapped on a ship. Notice how both of these horror games involve jobs. My game's a little different. There is no job. In my game, you are a smelly and, quite frankly, gross individual living off of your grandparents' inheritance. Not too much of an interesting premise on its own, until one particular day. You wake up in a dazed and confused state. You're in your living room, but something isn't right. There's a weird contraption to your side that you just can't ignore, and for some reason, you also can't walk outside. Until the doorbell rings. Someone special will soon begin to introduce themselves, and you have to avoid them at all costs. Your only job is to stay unemployed. Now for the gameplay. For some reason, I don't like objectives in my games. At least when I made this one. You know how in horror games, you'll get very specific tasks to guide you through the game, so you know what to do next? Not this game. I don't want some text hovering in front of the player's face telling them what to do. Instead, I decided there would be no objectives for the player, and that it would be up to them to figure out what to do using their own jobless instinct. The doorbell rings, you wait till no one's there and then pick up your food delivery, just like in real life. Got 4 burgers from that food delivery that looked like they could send you to the bathroom in seconds because they were literally textured with actual dirt and rock. You're gonna eat those burgers until you start farting, just like real life. And then you're gonna go to the bathroom and sit on the toilet, just like real life. And then you're gonna randomly decide to fix your bed and then find a job application on your couch and flip it over and scream, just like real life. All objectives based on instinct that any human would have. But then, how does the player know what to do if they don't have that instinct and they don't understand the context? What if you never used a toilet before in real life? I was really scared that people would hate my game for not explaining anything, so I came up with the TV. I made it so that by using this television remote, the player can be given cryptic clues about what to do next, which you will need when you start panicking at the sight of the game's antagonist, the Recruiter. Now for the lore in my headcanon, well, I don't know why I need a headcanon, I made him. The Recruiter is an interdimensional being that acts as the fairy godparent / Krampus of the unemployed. He visits people at their houses and tries to employ them for a mysterious job that most human minds cannot process. Similar to Jigsaw from the Saw franchise, he employs puzzles and traps when trying to reach his targets, but primarily he works with his own sentient job applications. He starts off weaker with no form, only being able to project himself through 1 or 2 job applications at a time, but the longer you avoid him, the stronger he gets, until he is able to manifest his humanoid form and become a living, walking job application. In this form, the Recruiter is 3 to 4 feet tall. He has a scrawny build with skin that appears to be about as rough as paper. And though he looks to be wearing business attire, this is no more than a facade. If you were to remove his mask, you would see that his inky smile isn't even real. To the player, not a lot is known about the recruiter. His powers appear being able to teleport around the house and to cloak his sound at will, but if you get too close, he can teleport you too. The game is basically split into a few parts. Doing the task to summon the recruiter, running away from him and his job applications, and then defeating him through his most vulnerable weakness, hiding under a table. Although the recruiter is powerful and has a lot of tools at his disposal, he is ironically bad at his job and will only look for the player a little bit when they're hiding before leaving to slack off. After the recruiter gives up looking, the player must get up and figure out what to do next. In their imagination, the recruiter could be hiding anywhere around the house. But in my imagination, when I was making the game, he is sitting here. You might be wondering, why is there a weird doggy door and window here? That's kind of weird. Well, that is because in his Mixamo sitting animation, the recruiter's tie was clipping, and I didn't like that. So I strategically changed the window you were supposed to look at him through to hide this, because it was too late to change the animation. This game took me 2 months to make, and honestly, a lot was riding on its success. Prior to making this game, I had left a comfortable and fun YouTube career of making video essays in favor of pursuing a career in video game development. I knew if I wanted my pivot to succeed, I'd have to get this game out fast. So with an ending added, it was time to release the game to the public. I decided once again to go with an extremely suspicious name, calling this game The Application. I didn't think the application was gonna get that much attention, but to my surprise, the YouTubers found it. Those poor fools. As you know, the game starts off in a living room, but most players didn't bother to use the TV remote, which was really bad because it meant they would have to figure out the rest of the game fully through instinct. So once the game got more abstract, a lot of the YouTubers got lost and started to spend a lot of time not knowing what to do next.
Hindi mo alam, walang objectives eh. Game has no objectives.
This made me cringe a lot because, as it turned out, Cub Scouts, the horror game professional, found this game.
This game has to do with a job application. I said it, everybody. I said, I know. I said he who shall not be named. But I don't know if a job application's around the corner. So everybody clench your butt cheeks.
In the video that he made, I can just tell he spent a significant amount of time wandering around, not knowing what to do next. Thankfully, he didn't flame me for this. He was very professional and he made my game seem really funny through his jokes, but he absolutely spent a lot of time wandering around because of my bad game design. I mean, my experimental game design. But you know what? That didn't matter, because eventually every YouTuber was able to find their way through the game using that jobless instinct that I know is inside of all of them.
Oh! What? No! The heck? Hey! Relax! How did you fill the wall with job applications?
It was super fulfilling to watch people play my game, because even though it had a lot of flaws, only being made in 2 months, no one really seemed to mind too much, and it helped that the game was meant to be clipped. You see, I had engineered a job application jump scare to happen earlier in the game, and I had one intention with this jump scare, not to make it the scariest or the loudest, but to make it a clip farm moment. I made it so that after being picked up, the job application jump scare bursts at the screen with lighting and perfect framing in correspondence to exactly where most face cams are, to make sure everyone on TikTok and YouTube Shorts could see the scare. And this worked perfectly, because whenever the YouTubers would find the jump scare, all of them would clip farm just like I intended. The encounter with the recruiter was definitely the part I enjoyed watching people play the most, because seeing this frail, little creepy recruiter guy in the context of this forsaken house actually is pretty scary. Some of them reacted like a deer in the headlights, walking right into his clutches and getting employed, but the true jobless ran in fear like it was a regular Tuesday night. Thank you so much to everyone who played this game. I was going to consider putting indie dev on the back burner, but you convinced me not to. Thanks for watching. I'm Lufa.